I love the song he sang because it's kind of what I'm talking about. We're all heroes and we're all ogres. We're all, literally all, within each one of us. We say that the Christ is within us, but there's many things within us. And I'm a big movie buff. Anyone who knows me knows that. Ever since I was a child, I lived in a dream world of movies, heroes and ogres and all of that. And I've been all of it in my lifetime. And so I was fascinated when I learned about the hero's journey, which is something that, is all the movies are about the hero's journey. And our life is a hero's journey because Carl Jung, a famous Swiss psychologist, said that in each person there are all these archetypes. And we have different archetypes that might show up in our life at different times. And one of them is a hero. And so Joseph Campbell talked about the hero's journey. And what's interesting is that we all have had many journeys in our, well, I have to talk for myself. I've had many lifetimes, many journeys. I have been an ogre for a long time in my life. And I got to learn how to deal with all these different lifetimes. And this is Palm Sunday. So, Jesus is the ultimate hero's journey. His story is a hero's journey. The first part of a hero's journey is the call. We get a call. And Jesus got his call when he heard about John the Baptist. And so he left his home to find John the Baptist and begin his ministry. And what happens is when we get that call, things start to happen in our life. Some of them good, some of them not so good. Jesus was 40 days and tempted by the devil, and he went through all of this. But Palm Sunday represents for him one of the stages in the hero's journey is the belly of the whale. That is the time when if the you-know-what could hit the fan, it does. Whatever could go wrong goes wrong. And for him, when you think about what he did with Palm Sunday, is he went into Jerusalem where he knew people were not going to treat him well. They may have thrown down the palms and done all of that, but he knew that no one there in authority wanted him there. But he went anyway. And he also knew what was going to happen when he got there. And that is the belly of the whale. That is that time in our life when things seem so bad, we think that maybe we did the wrong thing. I don't know about you, but I've had many incidences in my life, and I've had many journeys, and how I got here to be a minister, in a way, was a hero's journey. So my husband and I had a retreat center and a meditation center, and I was the cook, I was the office person, I was the janitor. I did a lot of jobs. We both did a lot of jobs. And one day we had a big meditation hall. And one day I'm in the meditation hall and I'm meditating. And I hear this voice. And it says, apply to ministerial school. I was already a licensed teacher, Unity teacher. And I'm like, apply to ministerial school. Obviously, this isn't my message. I'm in the way of this message going to somebody else, and it happened to just go by me, and I heard it. But then I heard it again. I'm thinking, God has really got to get better aim because he's missing the person. There's no way I can apply to ministerial school. And then I heard it again. So, I'm one of these people, when I hear something 3 times, I better pay attention. Because what happens is God sometimes whispers in our ear, and we don't pay attention. And then God whispers a little louder. We still don't pay attention. I'm talking about me. You may listen right away. I'm pretty hard-headed. Until the 3rd time, God blows open the door. It's like he's been knocking, I don't hear it, and so something happens. So when I hear something 3 times, I know I better listen. So I go to my husband and I say to him, I'm supposed to apply to ministerial school. And he says to me, you're going to do what? And I said, I'm applying to ministerial school. He says, do you want to be a minister? I said, no. I don't want to be a minister. but God is telling me to apply. He says, well, why are you going to apply if you don't want to be a minister? I said, because there's something I'm supposed to learn from this. And I have to tell you, one of my favorite places on earth is Unity Village. I thought, well, if I apply, I may get to go back to Unity Village just for the interviews. So that's probably why I'm applying. There's something in the application experience that I'm supposed to learn.
Yeah.
He's like, well, you know, you are the cook, you are the janitor, you are this, and it's really not a good time. I said, it didn't tell me to be a minister. It didn't tell me to go to ministerial school. It just said apply. So I'm applying. He's like, okay, because he knows when I say I've heard this voice not to argue with me. And so I applied, thinking I'm never going to get in. You know, I'm doing this application online. I'm not even paying attention to what I'm writing because I figure I'm not supposed to go anyway. And, whoa, I get a call and invited to go to meet in person. You know, not everyone gets that. And so he says, what are you doing? I said, well, I think I'm supposed to go back to Unity Village for a visit. So I'm going to go for the interview. I'm not going to get it. And on top of everything, right before I was going for the interview, I got sick and I lost my voice. And one of the people who interviewed me was a Dorothy Pearson. If you've been in Unity a long time, she's like the godmother of Unity. And she says to me, what in your consciousness made you lose your voice before this interview? I wanted to tell her, well, because I'm not supposed to be here. I'm not supposed to become a minister. So probably I lost my voice so that I couldn't really. Anyway, somehow, so I leave school. And I go home, and everybody's getting their notification that they get in, and I haven't heard anything. And so I said to my husband, see, I told you, I'm just supposed to apply. And then I get notice that I got in. And then he says to me, what are we going to do now? I'm like, I don't know. So time goes by, and I'm in the meditation room, and I'm meditating again, and all of a sudden, I got this vision of things moving around in the universe so that somehow I would be able to go. Now, I still did not think I wanted to be a minister because the minister has all these responsibilities and I had my own business and I was like, yada, 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 I don't want to really do that. But I had been doing jail ministry through a 12-step program. And I thought, well, maybe if I go, I'll become a prison chaplain. I could do that. But I'm not doing church. I am not doing church. Church is too much like a business. I'm not doing church. So how ends up happening is that movement that I saw in the meditation room was a friend of ours and his wife were looking for a place to go to settle. They had to leave where they were. And they were fabulous. She was a great cook. He was this carpenter. It was amazing. They were the perfect fit. So they came to the farm and they took over. And I went off to ministerial school. I looked like the Beverly Hillbillies. I had a truck and I had the mattress and everything on top of it. And I'm going, Beverly Hills. I'm going to Unity. So I'm there, and the whole first year, people are talking about what they want their church to be and all of this kind of stuff. And I'm saying, I'm not doing church. I said, I'm going to be a chaplain because I don't want to do business. I've done enough business in my life. I don't want to do business. And folks, church is a business. It's spiritual, but it's also a business. And so I go to school and people saying, what do you want to do? And everyone is saying, I'm going to be a chaplain. I'm going to be a prison chaplain. And, and I can hear it probably. Everyone's thinking, oh, okay. Meanwhile, I don't realize it that God is laughing, but I'm still going to be a prison chaplain. Second year of ministerial school, I'm still not going to be a minister in the church. And we're off on our class trip, which is in D.C., and it's February. We're graduating in June. Now, the other thing is I haven't been paying any attention to anything in the classes about church. I'm just like, I got all the metaphysics and all that, but I am not paying any attention to anything having to do with church because I am not going to be a church minister. So we're in Washington, D.C., and I'm at a church, and all of a sudden, it's like God just hitting me over the head with a 2x4. I get hit a lot by 2x4s by God. And it's like, you're going to apply for a ministry. I'm like, I'm going to apply for a ministry? We still have a retreat center in Florida. Where am I going to apply to? We have to go somewhere nearby so I can see my husband once in a while because we've been separated for 2 years. And while I was in school, and so I decided to apply. So, I have a vision in my head about what my church is going to be like. I do a vision board. Anyone ever do a vision board? After this experience, I stopped. So I had a vision board, and it was very exact. And I applied to this church, and it was my vision board. Physically, it looked like it. Everything was exactly like it. That was my church. I had done the vision board. Right, we know vision boards are very effective and they work. That was it. And I didn't get it. I was like, I did a vision board. That was my church, right? So I'm on the way back to Florida. I graduate, get ordained and all of that. And I applied to a little church in Georgia because it was near Atlanta, and that's where one of my sons lived. So I go to this church and call my husband up. I go, oh my God, this is as far from my vision board as could possibly be. I was sitting outside crying because it was not what I had planned. We were talking about this earlier, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. So I'm in there thinking, this is not it. So I decide to ask for a sign. I'm really big. Ask God for a sign. So I figure, I might miss the sign, so I'm going to make it specific so I cannot miss it. And we had been trying to sell our retreat center for 2 years. The whole time I was in school, that retreat center was up for sale. And I said, if this is my church, we are going to sell the retreat center. Thinking, we're not going to sell the retreat center. We haven't sold it in 2 years. I'm not going to wind up in this place. This is not where I'm going to be. And the day that they offered me the job and said, we have to know by this date, that same day, my husband called me up and said, somebody, a friend of ours, is offered to buy the Vision Farms. And not only did he offer to buy Vision Farms, but he offered to buy it for the exact amount that we had written a tithe check and put on our mirror 2 years earlier, and paid all the expenses so that we wound up being able to tithe the exact amount that we'd written in the church. So I'm like, now I cannot ignore this. So I got to go to this church. Now God is not paying any attention to anything I want. Like God is in Venus and I'm in Mars or something, it's just not working out. I have to tell you, that was exactly where I was supposed to be. It was, no way could I see that. And that has happened to me every single time in my life. That God always knows what is best for me. God knew that Jesus had to go into Jerusalem. For him to become the Christ, he had to go through that. And part of that was the whole crucifixion and all of that and the resurrection. And the part of the hero's journey is at the end, the hero gets the prize and gets to return. And for Jesus, that return was a return to God. He truly becomes the Christ and he gets to go home and be one with God. And he couldn't have done that without all the experiences. And so, it has been 21 years since I left Unity Village as a minister. And I have to tell you that this has been the greatest joy in my life. There's no way I could have known that this is what I was going to do. And this is what I believe God had planned for me to do. But we don't realize that, because when we're on the hero's journey, we sometimes get scary, especially when we're in the belly of the whale. And for me, ministerial school was the belly of the whale, because I don't like school, I don't like being in school. You know, I had a friend holding my hand so I wouldn't run away and in class. But we go through all of this because we all are the heroes. We're the heroes in our own story. And sometimes we may not feel like the hero, but we are. And we face the challenges that we have to face in order to wind up where we are supposed to wind up. And folks, our whole life is a hero's journey. And you know what? We all wind up where we're supposed to wind up. We wind up being home. And home is when we're one with God completely. And no matter how much we may pray and meditate and do unity and everything else in this lifetime, as long as we are breathing, we are part human and part spiritual. But at the end, when we take that last breath, we cross over. We cross over for someone who is part human and part spirit, and we all become one with God. We all get to go home. And that is what the hero's journey is all about. So wherever you're at in your lifetime, know this: you are exactly where you are supposed to be. Whether it seems like it or not, whether it meets your plans or not, Jesus did not want to get crucified. You know, even in the Garden of Gethsemane, he said, "Please take this from me." You know, and then it was like, "Okay, your will be done, not mine." How many times in your life have you done that? But we're on this journey, and when we realize that, we know that we can get through whatever life gives us. And sometimes it's not easy. But we remember that we are one in spirit with God, that God is within us, God is all around us, and God doesn't take us. You know, I always say God's will does not take us where God's grace does not keep us. And so we are all in that place. So just close your eyes for a minute and take a few deep breaths, because sometimes God's will for us doesn't match what we think our will should be. We want to be the hero, and maybe for the next 6 months we're going to be an ogre. But God is leading us. Sometimes pushing, sometimes pulling, but always bringing us to that place of oneness and of knowing we are exactly where we are supposed to be at any time. Because God is large and in charge. And for that we are grateful. And so we say, thank you, God. And so it is. Amen.